And a senior graduating this year, we are going to definitely miss Ethan. He is a student here who has learned to kind of balance everything. He plays sports, he is on the student senate, takes academically rigorous classes. Musical? Singing band. He's figured out how to balance it all, and so it is a kid who has taken on a lot and can be able to answer a lot of questions for you. So, any questions for us now?
So the Latin 1 and Scotch, can you figure it together on Scotch? For those who have had Scotch?
Yes. Their freshman year, they can take Latin 1 and Spanish 1 at the same time. You would just take one of the other required electives later.
So Ethan, not to put you on the spot, after hearing what your teachers, can you just kind of give us a little bit of what your experience was here at Eagle Ridge?
Yeah, for sure.
Told you, yeah.
Oh yeah. So I moved to Minnesota from the Cornhusker State, aka Nebraska, which if you want to get on Miss Johnson's good side, she is a huge fan. Otherwise, the first 2 weeks when I came to Eagle Ridge, it was a pretty big struggle. I didn't like it whatsoever, and it wasn't because of the students or the teachers. I think it was just the hard work that was required to get something done. This school really teaches you how to accomplish things through the hardest work possible. I'm blessed for it because now I feel like I'll be set for college. I came from a college preparatory school, but comparing it to this, it's nowhere near. So this education is insane. I feel ready to go off to college already. So probably my favorite part about it is first the
Art department.
That's one. Obviously the classes that are offered and how much the teachers push you. But most of all, I would say the relationships. Here, the school feels like a family. What I really enjoy about the teachers as well, instead of just simply teaching you the class, they really get to know you. They're super involved, they want to know more about you and vice versa. So it's great knowing that I'm going to graduate, go off to college, and know I can come back and ask for help or just talk to them for anything. So that's probably my favorite part about it.
Ethan, I have a question for you. If there's a particular student who comes and they feel overwhelmed, and they're like, oh my gosh, how do I do all this? They're eager to learn, they're eager to ask questions, they're very sociable. But if it gets to a situation where they're maybe fearful of asking because they don't understand something, how would you address, or what recommendation or advice would you give to a student who really wants to grow and learn and be successful, but feels overwhelmed because there's so much to achieve and so much to, because it affects their self-esteem as well.
Yep.
What advice would you give to a student coming into this and it's big for them?
First of all, I would go and simply talk to your teachers, any teacher. I know the teachers here are more than willing to help with anything. That's what's so great about it. But then just like the pillars, perseverance, that's what I had to do for the first 2 weeks. When I moved here, my parents were still living in Nebraska to sell the house and everything like that. So I didn't have anyone up here. So simply just the first 2 weeks, I knew I had to kick it in gear and finally get on track. And once I did, it got easier. And as I got more homework and things like that, I learned better to get better time management skills. So I was able to have a social life while getting an insane education at the same time. So it can seem overwhelming at first, but it pays off.
Can any of the teachers kind of also add to that? Because you've all had some, especially ninth graders that had some difficult time adjusting, or some of the things that you have done for support systems.
Oftentimes when students are struggling the first couple of weeks, as Ethan said, I really do invite them to come talk to me. Sometimes they're even nervous to come talk to me, but then just kind of make that first step. Send me an email. Stop and talk to me in that quick 5-minute passing time, and let's talk about it. Let's find out what the struggles are. I'm more than willing to sit down and say, all right, let's look at some different strategies. Let's look at how you're taking notes. Let's look at how to break the reading down into smaller, more manageable ideas, things like that. The teachers, as Ethan said, we will do anything we can to help you find success. That's what we're here for. I mean, we want to get you excited, we want to educate you and everything else like that, but ultimately what we are here to do is to help you. It's to help you learn. It's to help get that knowledge into you somehow. So we will work with you. We will come in early. We will go at our lunchtime. I mean, those are the things that we do. That's just naturally part of who we are as a team.
Period 5.
Period 6
Oh, 6?
this year.
Okay.
And I've always said that, you know, new students coming into Eagle Ridge, it takes you pretty near maybe the first quarter to get used to all the time management, as Ethan said, the rigor here, the workload. You know, the teachers will work with you throughout that quarter, but, you know, it's going to take you almost that long just to get used to, you know, how we do things here at Eagle Ridge, how you need to do things to be successful here at Eagle Ridge.
And I point out that there are other transitions too. For instance, Ethan's in my CIS course, and that's a big step up from last year, right? You're in a college course, so, you know, don't think I'm the only one struggling. What do I do? Whenever it is, you know, it's not your ninth grade year, maybe as a junior, your first experience in that. So, you know, always ask for help with your information.
I have another question for Miss Paul.
Sure.
You had addressed where you're talking about learning about history, that we read the literature to understand history. Is the purpose of that to understand the culture and context in which that occurred? Because you can read about history, but experiencing it through the literature, is that the philosophy there?
I would say that's part of the philosophy, but it's also to make sure, when you're reading works of the time, you're not reading someone's interpretation of what happened. So you're actually reading, I would say, about the feelings and the people of that time, because many of the stories are, you know, they may not be written historically saying, like, this is what's happening right now, but they are about what's happening right now, even though they may use different characters or Greek mythology to explain what's happening during that time. So we're able to look in depth at literature and let them tell their own story, rather than me, the historian, telling the story for them. And the other great part about reading literature to learn history, how many of you have read a history textbook when you were in high school and you're like, this is the most boring thing I've ever read in my life? And you zoned out because, I mean, I love the History Channel now. I was a social studies teacher and I hated high school.
That's the point I was trying to make.
And
is that
so
you get to
when
live it.
it's a story. It's this wonderful story that you get to buy into, and now it's a story about people and exciting things and lives and how they're changing, and then you learn history at the same time. It makes it come alive.
It is their culture. It's what was going on, what was real for them. I mean, we talk about the Greek gods and everything else like that and how they personified the idea of chaos. Like, chaos was a god. You know, so we talk about things like that. We talk about why they made these decisions and who they were and how it impacted everything, and looking at how they set up their government and how it was originally kind of based on what their culture was and the gods and goddesses and the beliefs and everything else, but how it's still, 4,000 years later, is impacting exactly what we do today. So they make the connection between the old history and the modern day. And it does, it makes it come alive. I mean, this is the Iliad, this is the Odyssey, this is what they believe to be completely true. And some of it is, and some of it we can look at and be like, oh yeah, that's totally a mythology, Greek goddess thing, you know? They don't just pick up Paris and whisk him away and put him in the palace to get him out of danger. I mean, we talk about that, but we talk about the whole idea of the Trojan War, and what was going on, and why it happened, and how, you know, you've got this woman, why was it all about her? Was it really about her? I mean, it's all of these, it's these big, wonderful ideas and how it impacts everything that we do now.
Can I say that? This is called the Great Books curriculum, and when I teach art history, that goes hand in hand with it. So you're learning about what mankind has done, and it really is a story from the beginning of time all the way up until now, because people are essentially the same, and the works that they produce are out of the values and their belief system. So it's really cool. You just get such a good sense here. I wish I had this education. That's really cool.
I've heard a more intellectual conversation about what is honor and what makes you honorable in our 9th grade classroom than I've heard in some of my college seminar classes. The level that they start discussing, what is honorable? What makes you honorable? What is honor? Who defines honor? I mean, these are the types of things they're sitting there and discussing.
What I also enjoy about the education is how everything seems to tie together. So like the humanities classes and what you read, you're able to pick up on pieces from the reading that you translate in Latin or that you're learning in art history. So when you're going from class to class, everything seems to tie together, so it's like working at the same time.
Any other questions for a whole group? Otherwise, we can let those who want to go, and I think some of us will be around a little bit longer to answer more questions. Myself, Ms. Clute, and Ms. Connor there in the back, we will be available for new students who have not yet registered, and you probably got the registration documents in the mail, but maybe you have questions. We're here to help with that, or answer any other questions. But again, thank you for coming and listening to us. And we're excited for, like I said, our school event.